I've been coming here since the early 80s, just to come in and keep it tidy.
For the past 3 decades, Terry Seymour has been coming to Karrakatta Cemetery to visit his mother's grave.
I'd like to think that this will be here in 200 years' time, that people will be able to walk through and look and see.
Nestled in Perth's wealthy western suburbs, it's the final resting place for war heroes and former Prime Minister John Curtin.
The cemetery to me means it's safety. My mother lives here, along with all the other people who live here.
But behind the serene gardens, the cemetery has a problem. It's running out of room. Its controversial renewal policy has seen headstones removed from some existing graves and new graves dug in between them.
In this case, they will bury another body alongside those 2 existing ones. But there'll be no marker for my mother or that person's family. My family will disappear. My loved one will disappear.
To the CEO of the Metropolitan Cemeteries Board, which operates Karrakatta, it's a matter of necessity. The policy, he says, is a way to cope with the problem of Perth's rapidly growing population and limited space for new burials.
Cemetery renewal is probably the only viable option to keep Karrakatta open, purely on the basis we don't have any more undeveloped land. If we didn't have cemetery renewal at Karrakatta, it would have closed to new burials back in about 2004.
But it's not just Karrakatta. It's a problem in major cities across the country as cemeteries run out of space.
We're well ahead of other states in that need. Sydney has a real problem for burial land, as does Melbourne and also Adelaide.
Most people might think once you've been buried, your gravestone remains there forever. In most cemeteries around Australia, that's true. But at Karrakatta, burial plots can only be leased to begin with for 25 years.
The steps involved first is that we analyse a burial section. We look at a section that's around about 95% where the grants of a right of burial no longer exist. So effectively, when the grant's expired, it becomes the property of government again.
Terry Seymour's mother's burial lease expired in 2003 and is now in line for renewal within the next 10 to 15 years. That is, at least, unless it's extended.
It's a bit like knocking a house down and building 2 houses on it. I just don't believe that a cemetery should be disturbed.
We do it respectfully. We don't disinter any human remains. We bury in between those graves.
While the policy has caused deep anger among some, others like retiree John Linton aren't so bothered.
I have 4 sets of grandparents or great-grandparents buried here. I don't really mind the concept of renewal. I understand the need. My concern would be the actual physical remains, but the memorial side of things, the headstones and so on, they don't create so much of an issue for me at all.
One of the difficulties is tracking down the next of kin for people who've been buried up to a century ago.
Family may have taken out a grant or right of burial for, say, 25 years or 50 years, and then we come in well past 50 odd years and say that this area is subject to renewal, and people have moved around, so you don't have the same postal address. So it becomes very complex. That is a challenge for us these days.
The problem of the shortage of cemetery space in Australia's major cities isn't going away. But Terry Seymour isn't quite yet convinced that renewal is the right way of dealing with it.
In my idea, they don't have permission to pull down my mother's memorial, and I just feel that it shouldn't happen. This is the memories of my mother and for thousands of others who live in here. I'm going to be buried in Margaret River. Hopefully no one ever redevelops me.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.